first vital qualifying session goes Australia's own David Brabham, and this is absolutely vital for him and his teammate Stefano Modena, but most of all for David, because this morning in the non-qualifying 1.5-hour session he was 29th fastest.
And so began the first official qualifying session for the 1990 Australian Grand Prix, a very special moment for David Brabham, making his first appearance in Adelaide in Formula One.
And you'll hear those Judd V8 engine revs rise as he approaches the line. He'll go over it at about 160 miles an hour.
Well, there he is in the McLaren round this very tight and twisty street circuit. John, you haven't seen the track before. Give us your view.
Well, it is a real street track. It doesn't look like it really on the TV picture, but in fact we went around the circuit this morning and it is very, very tight indeed. The one thing I noticed is that the line of sight is very hard. The very high curbs are on the circuit, and in particular parts, especially the corner that leads onto this off-Rundle Road onto the main straight, it's very hard indeed.
Well, there's Senna stepping on it, getting off on his quick lap, and a lot of curbs here, but Senna we expect to be very neat. That war of words between him and Prost continuing in the paddock. And there is Senna. Well, he is the master at the qualifying lap and also the master on a street circuit, and he really is neat and tidy here.
Well, the other thing that's noticeable, Andrew, is he hasn't got much traffic, which is a real art on a street track, to find that clear lap without any traffic. Well, he seems to do it consistently. Other drivers come in and complain somebody got in their way, but really Senna is the master. Now there you see him running wide, coming onto the main straight over that curb. This is now the Brabham Straight, or De Ketville Terrace as it's known locally, coming down the fastest part of the circuit, just under 180 miles an hour, and now down to one of the very slow corners at the end of the straight. And this is the return now back to the straight, back to the pits.
Yes, of course, there is a very tight hairpin just before the pits, and he's got a little bit of traffic there. But no, he's out past the Ligier. Now he's got the Coloni in the way. Down into the hairpin, held up perhaps a little bit by the Coloni, but the time certainly looking good. Senna crosses the line, a 1 minute 15.719. Prost strokes his chin and thinks about that. The fastest lap so far, and under last year's pole position best. And Nelson Piquet spinning off there. Nelson, the winner in Japan 2 weeks ago. Meanwhile, Thierry Boutsen continues on his way. Boutsen, of course, the winner of this race in the appalling conditions here last year. And Nelson still stranded. Well, Boutsen continues, and there you see Nelson being pushed away by the marshals, and it looks as if he's going to get going again. And all those flags really waving, very enthusiastic, the marshals here. Well, Riccardo Patrese in the Williams team have had something of a disappointing year, really. But there is Riccardo, the most experienced man in Grand Prix racing. He has driven in 200 of the 500 Grand Prix being held. But we go in car there with Nigel Mansell. John, take us round a lap of this tight circuit.
Well, Mansell will get into 6th gear in this Ferrari, then he's down to 4th gear for this chicane. This is just after the start-finish line, and lots of excitement there expected at the beginning of the race. Back up to 6th gear, then down through this semi-automatic gearbox, going through Wakefield Road. This is all 2nd, 3rd gear stuff, off and on the throttle. The track really is slippery. Street tracks take a long time to get rubber down in them. You can see the amount of movement on Mansell in the steering wheel to try and balance the car, keep the power on, but not let the car get away from him. He's now about to come on. He's just gone through his terrace. He's about to come on to Rundle Road. This is the first part of the straight. We've got this very quick right-hand 4th gear flick. And again, on the racetrack, that is very much lower than, you can't really see the track. You see the curbing on the inside and on the outside, but the road you can't see. People tend to use the curb on the exit of that, and of course, you can get into trouble there. Then back down into 2nd gear, very tight right-hand hairpin. This is the run back to the pits. Again, another tight left-hand corner. Nigel using a fair amount of curb, and in fact, almost too much of it.
Now he's on the section of the track, which is actually in the horse race area, and this is new road that was built to complete the circuit 5 years ago. And Nigel crosses the line now, and his time, 2nd fastest, 1:17.294. Look at that, on fire, a big blow up there. Eric Bernard, wisely he pulls off, and fortunately the flames have gone out, but a very big blow up from the Lamborghini engine. Now we go in car with Alain Prost. Prost on his qualifying run told us yesterday that he hasn't really got much motivation this weekend.
Well, Alan was, I think, pretty down in the mouth on the Monday after Japan. He seemed not so bad here. Maybe he's labouring a little bit the disappointment he had in Japan. He really has to put that behind him now. He's got to come here and race. He's got to try and win this race to re-emphasise that he is the best driver of 1990 and not this man, Ayrton Senna.
Prost time, not impressive there. Look, well down the list, 1:18.678. Currently it's Senna, Mansell, and that man Alesi third fastest, Berger fourth, then Patrese, PK sixth, Nakajima a good lap, 1:18.738, but still quite a bit of time to go, and Johnny Herbert there. Herbert, in his second drive of the season, certainly impressed in Japan 2 weeks ago. And bumping about a fair bit there. And as we go in car with David Brabham, the only Australian in the race, of course, and David was struggling in practice this morning. Let's see if he can improve on that time, which wouldn't have got him in the race.
Yes, well, there are a few fans of David Brabham, as apparently that relates to some advertising campaign. Bertrand Gachot getting it all wrong. Well, actually, Gachot did a pretty good job there, because he was heading at one point for that concrete wall, but he got the car to spin, reversed it neatly into the escape road, and of course he will then get the car push-started. But Roberto Moreno now doing an equally impressive job here in Adelaide as he did 2 weeks ago in Japan.
And Moreno's time, 1:17.437. That puts him fifth currently. And now we go in car with Alain Prost, and John, contrast his driving style with that of Nigel Mansell, because we've seen them both in car.
Well, the way Alain Prost drives a car, the way Nigel Mansell drives a car are really worlds apart. Nigel is a more physical driver. He really picks the car up by the scruff of the neck and chucks it into a corner. In comparison to Alain Prost, now, Nigel is not rough and ready as a driver, but Prost is just so smooth, so gentle. Everything he does is a touch. It's not a physical effort. And just through this section of circuit, this is very quick. All those corners rush up to you so quickly, yet everything he does is smooth, progressive. The car never changes attitude. Watch through this very, very fast right-hand corner here. The only movement on the steering wheel is the vibration from the bumps in the road. Now, down the straight here, in fact, we saw this morning the Ferraris weren't the quickest car down the straight. In fact, Williams appeared to be quickest this morning. What will happen this afternoon, well, we'll have to wait and see. Alan, again, a little bit unlucky with the traffic. Compared to Ayrton Senna, Senna does appear to find more clear gaps on the circuit. Alan having to pass one car now, he's got another car ahead of him. Whether that's going to interfere, I know certainly when you have a car like that, maybe 15, 20 yards or so ahead of you, it's difficult to concentrate on what you're doing and not get distracted by that other car.
Prost goes second, Prost 1:16.365, so Prost closes the gap on Senna, who until that particular lap from Prost had been 1.5 seconds faster than the rest of the field. But Alain Prost will definitely be a challenge to the great Senna this weekend. No question of doubt about that. As Senna goes out on his second lap, can he go even quicker? Sliding the car there, getting the back end out.
Well, I think his qualifying tyres, he maybe just didn't get them quite up to operating temperature as early as he does. Previously, the car just stepped out because he's got his foot well and truly planted to the board. All those 700 and something horsepower his V10 Honda engine has, we're trying to get grip coming through that chicane. But now, coming up this, I think, very difficult part of the circuit, it's easy here to make a mistake. You've got to go into the corners, I would say almost slowly, to ensure you get the power on. And oh yes, indeed, that was rather nasty. I don't know which part of the circuit that is just yet. We'll have to see when Senna comes round if he can pick him up. But now Senna down this long Brabham straight, the quickest part of the circuit. In fact, passing Alain Prost, has just been slowing down from his previous lap. Senna now round that second gear hairpin again, scrabbling for grip. These street tracks, really, we expect to see on Saturday these times being improved upon. Well, there's, in fact, Suzuki's car stuck in the tower wall there, so it was just coming through that little section. Now Senna almost finishing his lap. And Andrew, let's see if he can go quicker.
Yeah, let's see if he does. Well, accelerates to the start-finish line. A spectacular and flamboyant wave of the flag marks a 1:15.671 lap from Senna. So he has gone 1/10 of a second quicker and holds on to that pole position. Prost, meanwhile, there being weighed. He's second fastest, though. But look at the positions. They're the final positions from Friday's qualifying. Senna won 15.671, Prost won 16.365, Alesi, good performance there, won 16.837, Patrese fourth, won 17.156, Mansell fifth, Berger sixth, and then Moreno, another excellent effort from the little Brazilian, won 17.437, and Boutsen eighth, won 17.596. So Senna and Prost first and second, and that could cause all sorts of fun. Ninth, Nelson Piquet won 17.640. 10th, Martini won 18.235. 11th, good effort, Nakajima won 18.738. Johnny Herbert, another very good effort from Herbert, won 19.091. The Cesaris well up, won 19.107. Alio 14th, 19.202. Ivan Capelli in the Leighton House won 19.341. And then in 16th spot, Morbidelli won 19.408. 17th Tyrrell, 18th Larini, and 19th spot Derek Warwick, 20th Mauricio Gugelmin, 21st Stefano Modena, and 22nd spot Aguri Suzuki, having all kinds of problems with the LaRousse Lamborghini this weekend. 23rd Alboreto, 24th David Brabham, he's in, 25th Gruyard, 26th Cappy, the four not in, Tarquini, Galmas, Bernard, had a terrible day Bernard, and in